Okay. So, if you are watching this, you are probably watching it in the hopes to actually learn how to not die repeatedly and actually complete this game competently and consistently for the latest Big 20 race. Either that or you're intending to learn the game because you're actually interested in picking up the game and actually getting a decent run out of it. And, well, sometimes you just need a place to start, right? Well, I'm hoping to accomplish that with this tutorial here, where we highlight some, relatively safer strats than what you might see in more optimal speedruns of this game. So, with that said, there is Conquest of the Crystal Palace. Really tough game. If you struggle with this game, don't feel bad. It is a very difficult game. So I just decided to skip all the lore being dropped here. Right off the get-go here, we have 3 gems we can select here. When we select the gem, that's when timing usually starts. You have the life crystal, which increases your health pool, the blue gem, which increases your jumping height, and then you have the yellow gem, which is a little ambiguous in how it's described, but what it mainly does is give you unlimited magic. So you will always have magic on you at all times if you select this gem, which means that any magic you pick up will just automatically upgrade the magic. So it's pretty nice in that regard. Normally in top level speedruns, you're probably you'll see us choose the blue gem, and that's for more optimal platforming in a number of the stages, as well as make a number of jumps really, really safe compared to if we didn't have this gem, or didn't have jump boots upgrade. But for the purpose of safety, we're going to be choosing the yellow gem here, because having that added bonus of safety is pretty nice to have. So let's do that, starting things off. I highly suggest doing that as well, if you're watching this. Before we do start with the actual run, let's go through all the basics first, before we decide to jump into any of the actual stages. Our movesets. We have the basic sword, which we accomplish by pressing the B button, then you have the jump, and really starting off, that's really all you can do. But if you press down and A, you can actually select between 3 different options here starting off. You have the dog, you have this thing here, which is actually the sword. You can't tell it's the sword, but it's the sword. And then you have the orb here, which is actually your ability to use magic, which is a long-range attack here. If you select the dog, you summon the dog. The dog is useful in a number of ways. Obviously, for some added extra jumping height, which is very hard to utilize consistently because of how the dog works in his AI. But if you watch Soul's run, who is the current record holder for this game, he does utilize that in a number of ways. But he is also helpful in being able to reduce lag. So if there's a whole abundance of enemies that need to be taken off the screen to reduce the lag, summoning him to get rid of these enemies is really, really helpful in that regard. He will usually take a hit of damage for attacking an enemy though, so do be aware of that. And once he runs out of life, you can't really get him back unless you actually heal him by way of a certain method, which we will cover later on. So it's probably worth noting right now that I'm using magic. I'm using the B button to fire this magic off. You can't actually use the sword and magic at the same time. So in order to swap, you need to press down and A, or you need to press down and then press A however many times to select what you need to swap to. So I'm swapping to magic. Now if I want to swap the sword, I hit, and there you go. So understanding how to use the menuing properly is pretty important in order to actually properly learn this game, even at the basic level. Now, there's a lot of different tricks that the game has in store that I don't even know how it works, but you don't need to know that in order to beat this game. Believe me, you don't. So, the last thing for me to highlight is probably the most important move. This is going to require some practice, but it is very, very important that you know how to do this properly. We're going to learn how to do the backslash. This is the most strongest move in the game, by a long shot. Learning this is extremely important, because most boss fights become a joke because of this move. But how do we pull it off? Well, first we have to do a regular sword swipe, and then we want to press the direction that the character is not facing. We want to do a button combo of B plus whatever direction you are facing opposite of. So basically, in this case, with this character facing to the right, we want to press left, or B and left. B and left. And now that he's facing to the left, to do a backslash from that direction, we want to press B and right in quick succession. So, getting the timing down is actually probably the hardest part, I would assume, for learning this part, or learning that move. But it's not a really tight window to do it. Like, once you have it down, you will have it down. And in most cases, utilizing this attack, you're going to be standing still, or standing in a nice safe spot in order to pull it off. So don't really fret that you need to like master it and like use it in situations where you really have to be quick on your toes or whatnot. In most situations, you're not going to have to worry about that. So, don't worry about that too much. But I would suggest at least learning this move for the boss fights. Most of them, we're going to be seeing this move used. So, if there's one thing you definitely want to practice, it's practicing the timing. You can also begin slashing and doing it even in the air, and that's going to come in handy with the final boss, too. So, again, to do the backslash, if you want to know if you get the backslash successfully, you will hear a distinct sound that sounds like this. And yeah, so if you do something like a regular slash, and then but if you do a regular slash but then nothing comes out, it means you either did it too fast or too slow. Normally, you can tell if you did it too slow or too fast. If you say do it too fast, if you do your directional input too fast, he'll just stand there and do his regular sword slash, or he'll do his sword slash and do it, he'll just stand there. If you do it too slow, however, you'll probably end up just facing the other direction. That's what usually happens if you do it too slow. But if you do it too fast, if you do the directional input too fast, he'll just stand there. But yeah, just make sure to practice the timing for this. It's really important that you do that. But that pretty much covers all the actual control options. So, with that, let's get started. Stage 1. Stage 1. Usually the first bit of advice I will give to you all is try to get to 3,000 gold before you meet Shop Waifu. Who is Shop Waifu? You'll find out. She's someone that shows up in every single stage. Comes out, she'll show up in the map saying hi or something like that. And she has all sorts of goodies that we can use. Generally, I suggest getting her, though, or I suggest talking to her, because she has some pretty important upgrades. But to get to her, we have to actually survive through this. So, up to this point, we've been dealing with a few enemies. They're not really too bad. You had the birds. You can just jump and slash them. They die in one hit. The skeletons die in one hit. Those golem guys, those big beefy golem guys, you want to backslash them in order to kill them in one hit. Otherwise, it takes a few slashes to kill them, and they also drop quite a bit of money too. So killing the golems especially is pretty nice, especially if you want to stock up on money. Money is nice to have, and for the shop girl. But once you face the first pit, jump down and get either 2 slashes on the flower or a quick backslash, and you will kill the flower. Once you get past them, though, there's going to be another flower right over here. You just kind of wait it out. If you really want to do this, you can just kill them using the magic. It's pretty simple. In a lot of situations, if you don't want to be in close quarters with an enemy, and out of fear that you might get knocked back and into a pit, just use your magic. Just switch to magic and attack from long range. There are a number of enemies, though, that are immune to magic. Just keep that in mind. So, unfortunately, these boulders, they come out randomly at the top of the screen, and sometimes you're just going to take a hit to it while trying to climb. They're terrible, but they're not too big of a deal as well. Like, they don't do that much damage. Once you reach the point in this level when the entire screen starts to darken and go greenish blue turquoise, you probably already can see her there. There is Shop Waifu over here. She is very important, especially when learning the game starting off. But she is also kind of a curse when, or she's not a curse, but she's someone you need to avoid when trying to go for an optimal time. When you get to an optimal point, you're not going to want most of the stuff you're not going to need any of the stuff. But for the purpose of this tutorial, we should at least cover what she's there for. So, the whole thing with this game, there is no 1-ups anywhere in this game. There's also no health, well, there is health refills, but they are pretty unreliable to rely on finding. So it's probably best to get your healing and your lives from this girl right here. So right here we have like an herb. This refills our health by a little bit. We have a whole super herbs, which restores all of your life power. Oh, and this is also why you generally want to avoid this character. Sometimes she'll bring up a QNN news report, and it just happens when you're kind of trying to talk to her and like sift through all the items. She'll just randomly bring up QNN news report. And of course, it always brings the thing to OK. This is terrible, because what happens if you just mash A, you'll just find you'll accidentally hit OK, and then this happens. And it just wastes time for however long. Usually about 5-6 seconds. It's not too bad. If it does happen, just mash through it. But yes, here's an extra life. This is the only place you can get extra lives. If you want to know where the lives are, that's where you will get them. The potion will extend your life power. This is a potion you can grab if you didn't get the life gem. So I mean, if you want extra life, that's probably the item you want to get. But for the most part, you probably don't need it. But if you do want that added safety, though, you can grab it. But you probably won't be able to starting off. And regardless, I wouldn't do it, especially not on this level where there's many death pits all around. Just my advice. There is the Zap Chow, which will restore some of Zap's power. Zap is the name of the dog, by the way. If that wasn't clear, that is the name of the dog. So if he needs healing, there is that item. But for the most part, you should not worry about the dog's health. Dog's health doesn't matter. If he does die and disintegrate, you can heal him if you really, really want to. But for the most part, you don't have to worry about Zap too much. Dog Whistle, don't bother with this. It's not very good. Fire Scroll, that's just meant to upgrade your magic, which is nice. Which is nice in some situations, but you don't really need it. I mean, if you really want to upgrade it, I would only suggest upgrading it once at most. And then here's the jumping shoes. Jumping shoes is really nice to have to make a number of platforming sections a lot easier, especially when you have the yellow gem. And that's pretty much covers all the items, like starting off. She will bring out some other items to sell you in later levels. Most of them are not very good. I would not suggest getting them. Right, so with all these goods, why aren't we trying to upgrade right away? Well, unfortunately, as soon as you die, you will lose all these upgrades. The good thing about getting these upgrades, though, is that they will transfer over to later stages. So, like, that's kind of the trade-off. Like, getting some of these items, getting some of these upgrades, they are nice because they do transfer over. Like, they are permanent until you take a death. Unfortunately, in a beginner tutorial, death is expected, so for the most part, you don't want to be spending money trying to upgrade any one of these things. At the very most people will probably use their money to either heal or to get an extra life. That's for the most part, that's what the money is going to be used on, I would imagine, for most people starting off. But if there is one upgrade out of all of these that I would suggest getting, if you're struggling enough with certain stages, my advice would be the jump boots, just for the added extra jump height. There are some jumps that are really, really scary without it. But yeah, this is the upgrade that you will not be able to access if you choose the blue gem. So there is that to take into account. So yeah, that covers pretty much all the items. So let's move on from that. We're gonna actually try to do this tutorial without relying on any of those items. I would suggest, if you can get access to the boots and get that extra jumping height, I would suggest going for it. But, sometimes the money can be tight, and I can't assume that everyone's going to be in the best position, the best situation. Most will probably try to prioritize stocking up on the lives, stocking up on, or making sure their health bar stays at a manageable level so they can actually get through all these levels reliably, and that's fine. If you want to try and play it as safe as possible by just stocking up on life, or stocking up on your health and keeping it nice and full, or keeping your lives at a high number so you don't have to start a level right from the very beginning of it, that's fine. It is worth noting that anytime you run out of all your lives and you have to use up continue, you will not lose any of your money. There is no penalty to that, so you can just start. You can just start with... If you have to start a level again, you do not have to worry about losing like half your money, all your money, and whatnot. The game is actually fairly not so punishing in that regard, so that's a good thing. But yeah, if you do run out of all your lives, the only real penalty is you have to start the entire level from the very beginning. You have unlimited continues as well. Sorry, if I didn't make that very clear, sorry. You have unlimited lives. Or unlimited continues. But once you're past the shop lady, the next thing I would suggest is swapping to your magic here. This next section here is really scary because there's going to be these purple monkeys that show up. And they come in... They appear in spots that are very tough to commit to a jump, and there's parts of this bridge that are going to fall over if you stand on it for too long. So having a long-range weapon here is very, very helpful. So there's the purple monkeys. And these three monkeys here are not really too much of a big deal. You can generally deal with them just fine. And yeah, that's the monkey right there that you really have to be concerned about. So once you see this double brown thing here, if you want to know which parts of this bridge do fall down, it's these these brown parts here. If it's kind of like a darkish green, that part of the bridge is fine. You don't have to worry about it disintegrating. But if you stand on these brown parts here for too long, they will just fall down. Which is why I highly suggest swapping to magic for this part so that you have a long distance attack to get rid of those monkeys before they're even remotely a threat. I think they take a couple of shots though, so just be on the safe side and throw whatever magic in front of you, especially for this part right here. Like that monkey was right there. If you try to commit to a jump or something like that, you're very likely going to take a hit to him, get knocked back, and fall right into this pit here, and that's death. That's not a place you want to be. So, once you're past it, though, you're going to have this section here where we're going to have this waterfall here. You could decide to wait it out, but my suggestion would be take a damage boost, abuse some iframes, and just short hop to this section here. That monkey is actually kind of landing more around this area here, so you got the room to actually land here. But if you really want to play it safe, you know, just fire and kill everything over here before you decide to make the jump and kill that monkey. Or either that or try to scroll the screen far enough so that you can kill that monkey and whatnot. But yeah, keep your magic equipped because there's going to be some more enemies showing up here. We will be equipping back on the sword here pretty momentarily. Actually, I should unpause to mention this. So this waterfall here, like this particular thing, this string of water that's falling down here, it damages you. But it always has a consistent cycle to watch out for. As you will see, there's like a spurt of 4 streams of water falling down. You'll have to see 3 short ones and then a longer one. Once you see the longer one, that's when you can jump. You can jump right after that one, and you'll have the peace of mind of knowing you'll be safe. Oops. Kind of bad luck on that boulder. Alright, so at this point, this is where I would suggest swapping back to the sword. Because we're coming up to more golems. The sword, these plants, they're in the perfect position that you can easily kill them. They're not a big deal. This is the point when the stage starts to brighten back up again. Which at this point, that's when you know you're near the end of the level. We're also going to have some more birds. May as well kill them. Birds can be jerks, you know. And yeah, here we have more golems. Golems are not fun. Golems require a backslash to one-hit kill. Oh, as you can see. Yeah, that's also something that you have to watch out for. There is a monkey there. He can also be a bit of a problem. It's fine, we'll start again. This time we'll actually save so that we don't end up having... so we can resist the temptation of actually trying to reset and start it all over again. Alright, so... Interesting thing to note, once you spawn this golem here, he will never advance. If you want to get him to fall off the bridge, just move away. Get away from this platform here and just move over here. He will, otherwise he'll just stand there and just shoot projectiles at you. So, I mean, if you don't, like, the optimal strat is to jump over, like, onto this little ledge here and then quickly backslash him, but obviously, in most high-pressure situations, you're probably not going to want to take that risk. So, yeah, just walk over and get him to walk towards you so he can just walk off the ledge and die himself. That's probably the safer go-to option, especially since there is a monkey. So you'll probably end up having to walk over here anyway just to stay safe from that purple monkey there that jumped towards us. But yeah, how the golems kind of work is they actually just fire. Actually, let's load up the state here and maybe I'll better explain it that way. So there's the monkey. And yeah, just because I walked over there, the golem just decided to walk off the ledge because he wasn't close enough to actually fire projectiles at me. But otherwise, if I decide to stand there, he's just going to stand there and keep firing projectiles because he's close enough to actually, for his AI to actually be programmed to fire projectiles. Like, he's always going to do this. There's no inconsistent random pattern to him. If you're close enough, he will fire them. But if he's not, he's just going to walk right off the ledge. He's just going to try to walk towards you until he is in range. That's how his AI works. Otherwise, if you want to be really daring, you can just jump underneath the monkey, backslash that guy, and that's the fast way of dealing with them, if you really want it to be bold and risky like that. So, that eye enemy is actually pretty important, because he always drops this little thing here. This is an extra 1,000 gold. Really nice to have if you really need the money, and you're not so sure of yourself and all the other stuff. Another waterfall section there. Just wait for that fourth longer one. This climb here is actually really easy. Like, the platforms are aligned just perfectly. Jump, slash, and kill that guy. If he takes a few pot shots at you, don't worry. You're not going to get sent straight back down. Or, you're not going to go far. Like, you'll land here, most likely, trying to kill that guy if he does get a hit on you. And even if you do fall down, like, you can see here that the stage scrolls with you. It doesn't stop scrolling. It doesn't just continually scroll up and never allow you to fall back down. Like, the game's kind of nice like that, in a way. But yeah, that's pretty much the stage itself. Once you're past that flower and you're reaching this section here, you're at the boss. And once you get to this step right here, you want to start making your way towards this section over here. You want to get to the right side of the screen. So let's make a safety save here. And make our way to the right side here. And here is the boss. So this boss is just these two guys here. One is a flyer, which is this guy in the gray. And one is going to kind of stick around, walk along the ground. That is this guy right over here. Our first target is to kill this guy on the ground. And you're going to see the raw power of the backslash right here. And this is also why I'm positioned right over here. Because how the fight's going to start, the flyer's going to fly straight up. And this guy is going to jump back and over here. And since he has a shield, he's invulnerable at the front. But his backside is weak. Like, that's his weak spot. So by getting to the right side, we're going to be able to get a nice backslash on him right away. And then a bit of luck is going to come into play. We have a 50-50 chance of an ideal pattern. Let's see if we get it. We did not get it. So what you're seeing here is a thunder attack. It's fine. Once it's over, once you see that move, you got to just kind of pay attention to the flyer with that move. And then basically, once that thunder attack is over, you head straight over to the ground guy and then jump over him and backslash him from the other side. You can try and take pot shots with magic or just a regular sword, but it's quite a bit longer. Like, let me show how the fight would otherwise normally go. But yeah, while the thunder attack is going on, you can't really damage him. Whoops. Okay, so it takes a few slices in order to deal with him. You can actually probably hit him. This guy you can probably hit with like regular sword slashes pretty easily. Just because of the wide range. But it takes a few hits. It is kind of hard though, and you don't want this fight to last that long. So a couple of slashes, not really too bad. So, I mean, you could try with the regular slash and just try your luck. The ground guy is not too big of an issue, but he is he can be a bit of a problem. Oops. Whoa, okay. So I learned something new just now. Alright, so real talk. Let's get back to actually teaching you all what you kind of have to do here. So, I mean, obviously the optimal strat. If you do have the backslash down, this is a very, very simple and elementary fight. But yeah, basically get to the right side of the screen, backslash, jump over, and then quickly try to get a backslash. You have some time, especially if he does in fact do the hook shot attack there. Like he's vulnerable for quite a little while there, and you got time to set up for your second backslash, and that's all it takes to get rid of him. Otherwise, he's pretty beefy. He takes quite a few slashes, and that's kind of why we want to utilize the backslash. It's pretty nice to do, and pretty nice to utilize. So, now, this flyer here, this guy is probably going to be the bigger problem for most people, like landing hits on him. But here's how he kind of works. He'll fly from one side, and then he'll fly, kind of hover around one side, and then... Okay, if you can't actually see it, but... Yeah. I'll kind of, like, just play around. You might notice a consistent sort of movement here. But if you haven't already been able to tell, here's what's going on. He's kind of hovering on one side of the screen, like one half side here, and then tries to take a little dive attack on me, and then starts hovering around the other side there. That's how he operates. Like, that's literally all there is to his movement. Like, he'll hover on one side of the screen, then he'll dive attack and then hover on the other side, dive attack and then go back to the other side. And it's just a constant pattern of going back and forth in between dive bomb attacks on your character. So how do we actually be able to land hits? Well, you might think jumping would probably help. But in most cases, it actually makes it harder to land hits, I find. And as you might be able to tell, his height in his dive bomb actually changes based on what height you're at currently. So if you just stand on the ground, he'll actually dive down pretty far to try and land a hit on you. So it doesn't really matter if you try to jump or not. So in that situation, what do we do? Well, first we want to pay attention to what side he's on. And whatever side he's on, we're going to want to be on that same exact side, just a little bit on that side. We want to use this little thing here in the middle as a visual cue, where my mouse is pointing at. This distinct thing in the middle here, and we want to be just a little bit to whatever side this guy's on. In accordance to that, we want to be just a little bit to that side. And then we want to kind of anticipate when he's going to do the dive attack, and then move away from him, which I'm totally not doing there. And then try to move away, and then quickly slash, and then backslash. It's kind of hard to get the read on it. This is one of those... This guy here is probably going to require quite a bit of practice to actually land down. But you want to bait him low so that you can get a backslash on him. It's still pretty tricky timing. But you can get it with enough practice. So taking what we know here. Backslash, jump over. That hit doesn't really matter unless you're really low on health. And even when I took that hit, I still somehow got a backslash on that guy. So, I'm not really sure how that happened, but... yeah, that jump over that guy is a lot easier with the jump gem. Alright, so he's on the left side, so we want to be on the left side of that thing right there that we used as a visual cue. And then we just wait till we know he's about to take a strike at us. And that's when we want to move just a little bit away. We want to just move just a tiny bit towards the other direction, away from him, and then prepare a backslash and hopefully land with said backslash. That's how you deal with that flyer. This is definitely one of those fights that I would suggest highly practicing. Okay, so he gave me bad luck here with the thunder attack. So we want to just watch out a little bit. It's fine. Okay, he didn't dive quite low enough. That's the perfect height right there. Sometimes it's gonna take a few tries. It's a little bit of a weird fight like that. But yeah, pretty much nothing else to really cover with that fight, so let's move on. Now, stage 2. Starting off, while you're in iframes, just walk past that first group. Otherwise, you're just going to take a hit. Just hold right. If you keep holding right, you're going to not be hit by any of those bombs there. You'll get hit by that crab, but that's not a big deal. You can live with that, unless you have the jumping boots. But I expect no one to have it in this case. This guy has a chance of dropping health, so always take the chance to kill him. And here's Shop Lady right here. In case you need any sort of upgrades possible, most likely like jump boots or something that would actually make this next upcoming section much, much easier. But in case you don't, you know, it's fine. Just keep moving. None of these bombs will hit you. And you'll actually, in this situation here, you actually want to intentionally get hit by the right side of the spike like I just did there. Because what it's going to do is it's going to knock you back, but as long as you're holding to the left here, you are always going to land right here. These pits are not actually pits. They'll just send you back to the beginning of the last checkpoint, which in this case is going to be the beginning of the stage. So you do not want that to happen. You do not want that. Just, in this first set of spikes here, please, for the love of God, hit this right side, get knocked back, hold left, and land right here. Don't do anything else. Don't try to beat out this stupid spike here with the iframes. Just wait it out. Everything's going to be fine. Unfortunately, because in this situation we don't have the extra height, we have to kind of wait on some of these cycles. This is why having the extra jump height is very, very nice to have. But we also want to try to mitigate our health. Yeah, these hands are also kind of a problem. What they like to do is they like to grab you and then try to drag you into these pits. So do keep that in mind. Now, this section here, jump over that guy. Once that guy grabs you, jump over that boulder. Okay, so that was kind of bad. But in case that happens, you can try and get back. This is kind of an unfortunate situation because now we're kind of low on health and we would have to consider talking to Shop Lady. Shop Lady will come back if this sort of thing does happen to you. So there's that to take into account. But obviously, we don't want that. Unfortunately, these guys didn't give us any health, so in this situation, we would probably consider getting health. But since we got save states, let's just start that level again and yeah, go over exactly what I mentioned previously. Just walk under these guys. You take a hit to that guy, it's whatever. As you can see, he only does like a point of damage, so. I guess they have a decent chance of dropping a cherry the first time around, but once they're killed once, that health option is gone. Take it to the right side there and hold left. Wait for that spike there to leave the ground, and so it can give you a chance to actually jump past it. Same thing with that. except I didn't actually take my own advice. Gonna actually wait for that spike to leave. These spikes actually do quite a bit of damage, so it doesn't do too much damage, but it does stack up. And here, want to make the jump and just do standard normal neutral jumps. Because otherwise, this guy will drag you off. Don't try to wiggle your D-pad around. Like, once you land here, just keep jumping. Like, otherwise, eventually, well, unfortunately, I didn't show that off properly. Yikes. So it is kind of, those hands are pretty finicky. Like, if you're not on top of your A game with the jumps, they do have a good chance of actually dragging you off and getting a hit on you, or dragging you off and sending you back to the beginning. It's a really, really terrible section. It's why I often recommend getting the boots here. It's fine. Again, like I said, the shop lady will always come back if that happens, though, so you do have extra life if you really need it. Take that hit, wait on the second spike, and we will jump over that. Gonna wait on this one, too, just to kind of keep my health in a manageable part. Decided to do it that time because my health was in good enough shape. Alright, so let's do this part properly. Just keep jumping so that guy doesn't drag us off. Once you get past that spike, though, land right here. Don't try to jump from there. Otherwise, you might miss your jump and feel really stupid. Just jump into that little crevice here, or that little step there, and then make your jump over. Once you're past that section, though, you can kind of breathe easy a little bit, because most of the rest of the stage is not too bad. Plus, you're going to get a guaranteed health drop right after this dog right here. Which, in this situation, in that fight, just keep slashing him. Maybe do a backslash. That guy's a bit of a problem. He likes to take a charge at you, but if you really want to, just kind of stand here, wait just a tiny bit once he lands right here, and then just start backslashing him. If he gets a hit on you, runs into you, you know, you'll get knocked back. Just face to the right and take another backslash at him, and he'll die on the second hit. It's no big deal. But once you're past that point, actually, I'm gonna use that save state instead. So once you're past that mini boss, you're gonna start dealing with these arrows. And apparently, I can't hit them worth a damn. Just jump up, little by little. Take a couple pot shots. Those guys drop more money if you need it, which it looks like we are going to need it. Thankfully, if you do fall in a pit there, you'll just get sent back to where the mini-boss was. So, not a big deal. But I would suggest jumping over the second one. He's kind of in a bad position. And then, yeah. If you want to know what these hands do, they kind of prevent you from being able to jump. So, that's a bit of a problem. You don't want these things latching onto you. So, generally speaking, you want to get away from both the enemy that spawns these hands and the hands themselves. The I call them snowflakes. I think that's what they're supposed to be. I don't really know. But they have a chance of dropping a sword power-up, which allows you to do, I guess, the sword beam. It has a little bit of a limited range to it, but it's a nice power-up to get. That being said, you don't really need the sword beam at this point. Now, coming up is another really scary enemy placement. That enemy that spawns these hands, there's another one right over here. Right just waiting for you over here. So my suggestion in this situation, if you wanted to go for faster strats, is to land just at the foot of this step here. Jump over, land on this step here. There's a platform waiting for you. And you want to get on that platform because dealing with that enemy in a very small space like this, you're very likely going to get knocked into a pit and then be sent back to a previous point in the level. And that's really, really bad. You do not want that. You do not want that to happen. Like, you can jump over and then try to make the cycle. It's not very tight, but it's pretty important that you do try to go for it. Otherwise, you could try to kill him. You could get it. Okay, I actually got a sword power-up, so that didn't properly show it off. I'm gonna just get rid of this sword power-up. Okay. Is this sword power gonna go? Okay, good. Yeah, if you really want to deal with the guy the safe way, though, generally the safe spot to go is right at the foot here, because he'll spawn over here. And just continually crouch stab him. Like, just keep crouch stabbing him until he goes away. And then, I mean, usually I don't expect to have the sword beam to deal with those hands. If you do, you'll kill him pretty quickly. Otherwise, just if you do want them to get off you, just keep jumping. That's how you will be able to get them off. So let's get these guys to latch onto me. If you do just do a neutral jump, they will try to pull you any different direction. Just kind of move accordingly. Like, move away from pits and whatnot, and just keep jumping to get them off you. So if they do happen to latch on you, that's your strat being able to deal with it. But yeah, the optimal strat is to jump at the foot here. The optimal strat is to jump at the foot here, and then jump right behind him, and get on the platform. That's the fast way of doing it, but I imagine most people, what they'll want to do is get to the guy, and then just crouch at him, or crouch stab him. If you have the sword beam, even better, because it will kill him real fast. But if you're not convinced that the crouch stab will actually work, I will prove that it is possible. And if you are worried about missing the cycle, first, priority number one, get rid of the snowballs. They're the bigger threat. If you have to miss another cycle because you didn't feel safe in going for the jump, you know, that's probably the wise decision. You go for this jump when you feel it is safe. And then once that platform spawns, you can probably go for this jump. It's not very tight. But if you're worried about the pits, just take it easy. Just take it easy. Kill these snowballs so that they're not going to be a big problem for you. Make the way clear for you. Go for the jumps when you feel it's safe. That's all the advice I can give you. But once you're past that section, you're now going to be really contending with the snowballs pretty hard here, or the snowflakes. So just keep jump slashing. Actually got a lucky sword beam drop. These snowflakes actually have a decent chance of dropping the sword power up. And also, yeah, here's our second shop lady. See, the game is actually nice enough to give shop lady a few times to you. You know, if you're really hurting on health, you need to fill up on life, this is a good place to do it. It's also worth noting that items in this game get progressively more expensive the more you buy of the same type of item. They also get progressively more expensive in later stages. It is also worth noting that as well. So in case you want to just keep buying items consecutively, you know, do keep that in mind that even if you just keep farming, eventually items become really super ultra expensive. Once you're past Shop Lady, though, you'll see more of these bats. They're not a big deal. Just power through it. We also got the roller, or these boulder things chasing behind us. Also, the arrows coming at us from in the front. Not a big deal, just power through it. There is also an item to pick up for some extra healing if you do need it. So if you only need like a tiny bit of healing, don't do it at Shop Girl. Save that money for when you really need it. Because there is one more health pickup right in that spot there. Once you're past that stationary health pickup, which is always there, that's when you're almost at the end of the stage. So this next part here is pretty important. It's also worth noting if you are constantly moving to the... Well, actually, you know what? I'll highlight that now. So let's just bow through all this again. Get to where we need to go here. Taking everything into account as a normal casual might take it. Just clear the way. If you don't feel safe doing that jump, you don't have to do it. Just clear the way so that you know it'll be safe to actually make that jump. Don't have to take that hit if you don't want to. Just power your way through all those snowballs. Got a nice health drop there. Oops. Yeah, sometimes the snowballs will actually cause some issues. Like, you can't actually see them, and usually you'll take a hit if you just can't see them. So let's make a save state there. Anytime you see the bats, just run past them. Until you hit the steps, you don't have to worry about the bats at all. And the boulders, if anything, are going to probably push you to the right anyway, so it's a nice little damage boost. Once you get to the top of the stairs, though, I would suggest getting the dog called out so you can attack some of these enemies. Because if more than one bat's on the screen at a time and these guys show up, the game will start to lag. So that's a nice little bit of time save you might be able to take advantage of if the dog's in good enough shape. Now, this stair climb is very important. These enemies have a very high chance of dropping sword power up. And once you get your first one, I would highly suggest in that case to move on. Don't attack any more of them. And just move on to the boss fight. Now, this boss fight in particular is awful. This is the very boss that is going to cause most people a lot of problems. Generally speaking, when I did runs of this game, 90% of my runs die to this boss fight because the optimal strat is to rely on backslash, which has very limited range, and this boss is not kind on both the luck side of things as well as his hitbox to land said backslash. So we're gonna utilize some safer strats for this fight, which I think are very fairly consistent. So the first strat we'll use is involving the sword beam, which we get as a very high drop chance off of these purple dragon tornado things. I don't know exactly what to call them. So here's the strat with sword beam. Stand in the middle here, or maybe on this little platform here. Once he shows up, try to keep him locked down. Use the platforms as sort of a safety. Once you actually see him start to change color. Oops. The fire can be a little bit of a problem. Once you start to see this guy change color, that's when you know he's starting to get pretty close to death, because each sword beam progressively changes his sprite color. And once he reaches red, that's when he's like one hit from death or something like that. So that's kind of when you know he's in critical health and whatnot. But be sparing about your sword beam. Now here's the other strat, and this is why I highly suggest people starting off always choose the yellow gem. This is a much safer strat. Just fire at him from a distance, and anytime he tries to pull at you, if he tries to pull at you with the wind, just walk away from him. Just keep walking to the right. The platforms will be kind of a buffer. Sometimes he might get you with the fire. It's a pretty slow strat, but it's ultra safe. Like I said, the hitbox is not very generous on this guy. You want to kind of aim for the fist here. Ooh, that's a big jump. Yeah, he's going to hit me with that. Generally speaking, if you know he's sucking you back with the wind, it's probably advisable to just keep moving to the right and just not let him have a chance to catch you. Because sometimes after the wind, he'll probably try to respond with a big leap and just keep you from getting away from him. Oh man, he's getting some real good shots. And unfortunately, I'm missing a whole bunch. But this is sort of whittling him down. The good thing is if you do die with this strat, you don't have to worry about losing the magic. But yeah, as you can see, this is quite a bit longer of a strat. I don't recommend doing it this way, but in case you run out of the sword beam, it is highly advisable to retreat to the backup, which is the magic here. So he's almost dead. Come on. Just a couple more hits. There you go. So yeah, you can see why that's probably not the ideal way of handling the fight, but it is a very, very good backup if you do not have the sword beam at your disposal. So basically, that's both the strats kind of covered, but my advice is always use the sword beam. That's probably the ideal way of dealing with the fight. You have a much bigger range and a much bigger hitbox to be able to land hits on the guy. And it does quite a bit more damage. So use that as your primary. Use that strat primarily, and once you run out of the sword beam, like abandon the strat and go with the slower magic strat. That is going to be my advice with this fight. Otherwise, if you really want to be super risky and use backslashes, well, good luck, because this fight is going to kill so many of your runs. But yeah, you can see the wind actually kind of plays to your advantage, because once he's ahead of you, he can't really do anything. I don't even know if the magic actually can hit him from behind. I'm actually going to test that out. But yeah, kind of just wait in the middle, find out what he's going to do. Use the platforms as cover from the fire. Wait for that big leap. Okay, so yeah, the magic can't work from behind him. So that's yet another reason why we stick with the sword beam, because if that happens, you know, then at least we know the sword beam can still hit him from the backside. It's also worth knowing if he takes a big leap, you will not be able to jump. Kind of works like Bowser from Super Mario Bros. 3. So do keep that in mind. But that's basically the strat in a nutshell. So let's review this over. When you get to the winding staircase that zigzags back and forth, prioritize getting a sword drop off of these purple dragons. Once you do that, once you get that sword drop, don't attack anything else, get to the boss, and utilize the sword beam as much as humanly possible on on the fight. Try to be patient with your sword beam hits, by the way. Don't try to spam your sword slashes, otherwise hits will not register and you will waste your sword beam needlessly, which is not a good situation. Again, we want to try to avoid needing anything too ridiculous. Wow. If he does the win there, that actually sets you up really well with the sword beam. But if all else fails with the sword beam, try to find your opportunity to get back to the right side with magic equipped. And just, yeah, pray to God you finish the job. If you don't, though, you know, it's not a big deal. You just try again using the exact same strategies. Get the sword power up from the purple dragons. And kind of rinse, repeat the same strategy until eventually you find a way to beat the Stage 2 boss. So I'm going to do that fight one more time so I properly set a... so I can properly set a save state for covering the next stage. Which, trust me, it's not going to be as bad. I promise you guys, it will not be as bad. Okay. Yeah, but you can see how if you try to time it too quick, if you try to be too quick on your sword slashes, you're gonna miss some. I also don't want to be too close to this guy. Oh, this is bad. Not sure how I even killed him there. Yeah, that situation I got really lucky. If you're in that situation, you're probably gonna die, and you'll have to try again. Not a big deal. This stage will probably you'll likely probably game over on this stage and have to use continue, and that kind of sucks when that happens. But again, like I said, you don't have to worry about. You don't really have to worry about money running out in that situation. Now, this stage is pretty short, and it's really not that bad. The main thing about Stage 3 that you have to know is it's very, very laggy. There is a lot of enemies that try to spawn, and to manage that, we need to call the dog. Zap is going to be doing his fair share of work. We're going to just try to bully our way through this. By allowing Zap to kill as many of those enemies as possible, it will both get the enemy as well as the coin they drop off screen. And that will reduce the lag. So that's why we call the dog on that particular stretch there. So really important that you keep that in mind. You don't need to do it for this stretch here, because not too many of them spawn. Although, if once 3 spawn, maybe you can call them. See, this is why it probably is not advisable to call the dog here. It probably just causes more lag. Now, since we don't have the extra jump height, I suggest waiting on some of these jumps. Sometimes that guy can be a bit of a troll and knock you back. If that happens, try to land back on the cloud. Sometimes you might die. These pits will kill you if you fall in them, so keep that in mind. This guy you probably don't want to challenge jumping through, so just jump straight up and hit him. You'll be able to land a hit on him even without the jump boots, so that's fine. Once you get up here and kill the enemies up top here, get on the cloud and kill that guy. I would probably, if you want to be bold, you can kill him and then try to make that jump, but it's a little bit scary without the jump boots. But what you want to do is you want to wait till the cloud is pretty much fully stopped on the right side here, and in order for you to make that jump consistently without the extra jump height. So We'll do it on this pass right here. Wait for the cloud to basically stop, and then make our jump, which we didn't do. So, yeah, pretty much proving that my point that these jumps are not very generous without the added jump height. Should probably be calling Zap here to deal with these enemies. Yeah, you can see how badly it lags if you don't have Zap on the screen right away. Sometimes these spitter guys will just straight up hop away from you. If that happens, it happens. Not really a big deal. Alright, so let's do this part properly this time. In fact, let's do a save state so that I don't have to worry about that. Or what you could do is just do that. You can just swap to the magic if you really don't want to try and jump up there and slash. In fact, you can probably just use magic here, since magic you have unlimited resources on. But yeah, the jump is pretty tight to actually make here. As you saw with me dying there, it's not a generous jump, so you do have to be somewhat careful there. Yeah, if you miss jumping over Shop Lady and you end up talking with her, not a big deal. Obviously that's just a good opportunity to get fully healed up if you really need to, and get extra lives. Or get the jump boots, which is probably what I would highly advise doing if you haven't done it up to this point. But just to prove that you can do it without it, we'll press on without it. Once you're past Shop Lady, though, and you start descending into this section, I would suggest calling out Zap again so you can start dealing with these spawns behind you. So you can start killing them. And I would also keep using magic to kill anything in front of you. So we're gonna unsummon the dog here. And then once you get down into that short corridor, actually, I'm gonna just... Yeah, so once you're past into that section there... Actually, let's load that state again. I need to make sure I'm properly pointing this stuff out here. So let's get back to where we were at. Good, made that jump. Let's make sure we make this jump. We didn't make that jump. We call Zap there once we get down there. Just start firing magic real fast so we can kill them as soon as possible. Once you're past that section, though, and you start descending and you reach this short little corridor here, don't worry, you do not have to make a leap of faith. My suggestion here... Oh, well, actually, the cloud comes all the way up, so you can actually already see it. But don't think you have to make a leap of faith, and don't just drop and move forward. Just either drop straight down and then hold left on this wall. This cloud is always going to be here to catch you. And there you see the jump. Once you feel you're safe to do it, just make that jump. Now, let's make a save state here, since we have, like, no lives now. We have this little section here. You could make this jump, but it's pretty scary, and I probably would recommend not doing it. Unfortunately, these clouds are sort of move disjointed from each other. So if you decide to not make that jump, you're going to be waiting on a few cycles before this longer one actually gets back to where you want it to be. This is why I highly suggest getting extra jump height so that you can make this cloud cycle jump sooner. But once you actually can safely get on there and kill the enemy, the purple hopper there that's hanging on that pole, you can safely make this jump. It's not a difficult jump. But if you do want to actually try to make this jump, well, you can't make that jump if you don't have the extra jump height. You have to wait for the clock to come back in this case. But once it comes back, you can jump and not do that. Let's have the sword out and do this properly. So once it comes back, you can jump. And yeah, you might take a hit and get knocked straight down onto the cloud. You can abuse those iframes and jump over. It's not a particularly difficult jump. It does look a little bit scary though, so if you don't want to go for it, and you're worried about stuff like that happening, you know, you don't have to go for it. You can just wait on the cloud cycles. But if you do decide to wait, you know, do know that you're going to be waiting a while before the platform cycles all line up with each other. But here's my suggestion. Jump on it and then jump. What ends up happening if you jump and you get hit by this hopper right over here, you'll just get knocked straight down and back onto the cloud. And then while your invincibility frames, you can actually make that jump, which I didn't do there. All right, come on, we can do this. We can show this off. It was a little too late there. Yeah, this is one of the scarier jumps. There we go. If you really don't want to take that chance though, just kill both the enemies and then on the next pass make the jump. It's not too big of a deal. But yeah, that's kind of the trade-off. You risk actually dying if you do in fact go for the fast cycle there. Or you can just decide to wait it out and wait quite a few cycles in order to make it. But I would suggest probably practicing that part if I were any one of you. Okay, so once you're past that jump though, we actually are at the boss room here. So here's an interesting thing to note. How this fight works, or how you might think this fight works, these enemies are going to just keep spawning and spawning, and they're never going to stop until eventually you are overwhelmed and you run out of life. This is not true. There is a sprite limit. There can only be a certain number of enemies on the screen at one time. So, taking advantage of that, we can actually get a whole lot of these spiders here and just have them fall into this little lower half point here. And if you get 5 of them trapped in there, no more enemies will spawn, and then you're just free to pick off the boss, who kind of just floats around and does what he wants to do and all that jolly good stuff. So, yeah, so here you can see how I'm constantly killing things and they're just constantly spawning. This is how you might think the fight actually is supposed to go, but in reality, this is what actually truly happens. Notice that we have all these spiders, like, just caught in this little pocket here, and the boss is just wandering around. We don't have any more enemies spawning. There's nothing more spawning here. So by taking advantage of that, we actually make this fight super, super safe by doing that, by getting the sprite limit to reach its maximum, which is 5 enemies in total on the screen, not including the boss. And then we just ignore the enemies and just focus on when we can get our pot shots on this boss, which is actually a lot easier than you might think, because funny enough, this guy always follows the same exact movement pattern every time. Also, he can just straight up kill himself just by standing still. Apparently that is a thing that I didn't know either. So, yeah, if you really don't want to fight the boss, you don't have to. That is an option too. But I'm sure people want to go fast. They want to get the edge in the race, or when learning the speed run. You want to save some good time. here's a faster way of dealing with this fight. So let's take advantage of the first major thing. We got all these enemies here. We want to keep the spot that we're at nicely free of all enemies. And then we want to get to this pocket. So here's the boss. I think they call it the fire demon. We want to be in this spot right here. Nicely nestled facing to the left. Once at the start of this fight, he's going to spawn over here, and then he's going to snake his way over and then start spinning around right where I'm at currently. We're going to take this opportunity to get a backslash as soon as he reaches us. And then when he takes the first backslash, his iframes will activate. And what this will do is he will no longer have a hitbox that he can hit you with while his iframes are still active. So by taking advantage of that, we can literally get 2 quick backslashes on him. And we literally do not have to move from this spot. So basically, for the quick kill, this is what it's going to look like. Whoops. Okay. That's not what it looks like. Never mind. Let's do this properly this time. Alright, we got 5 spiders. This is perfect. So we don't have to worry about enemies. Here comes the boss. Backslash. Backslash. And literally that's all it takes. He always will move exactly like that. There is nothing else to the fight. There is literally nothing else to the fight. As long as you stand in that pocket facing the left and you wait for him with the backslash, you can get the first hit. His iframes will activate. He will not hit you when this happens. He will not hit you when this happens. And you can freely get that second hit by quickly facing the left again. And then get the second swipe. It's very consistent, and I highly recommend practicing this. Saves a good amount of time. And it's really easy. Like, it's really easy as long as you know that there is an enemy limit to this fight. As long as you know can only be 5 enemies on at a time. And that includes what they drop, too. That counts as an extra sprite. So there's the extra. Got the setup. Oops. Forgot to hit my backslash. In case you do miss it, though, he will come back. You can try to get the last hit. If you're greedy enough and you have the health, you can try to chase him down, but I don't recommend it. I would try to stay in the safe zone, which is that step over there that I was at before that whole victory animation was going on there. So let's go over that again. Wait for our 5 enemies. Kill whatever we have to. If they're hoppers, they're going to be able to leave eventually. So try to keep the item they drop on the screen. So there he is. Let's say you miss it, though. Don't be baited to pursue him. Just wait for him to come back. Because he will always come back eventually. You just have to stand in a bit of a different spot and get that backslash on him. He will always move the same exact way. Nothing changes with the fight aside from what type of enemies spawn at the beginning. That's the only difference to the fight. You get hoppers, kill them, and try to keep the items on the screen. They usually won't despawn before the boss is done. But yeah, if you don't know how to, if you're too scared and you don't want to die, or you're on your last life, and you need a place to maybe abuse a death on the next level, you can just wait out the fight, and eventually the fire demon will leave all on his own, like you saw at the very beginning there. It's honestly a very, very, very straightforward fight. Nothing much to it. So let's make a save state now, and let's cover one of the worst, probably in my opinion, the most ridiculous level, and it's just horrible. So right from the get-go, there's this section here that we were just at. Welcome to the fire stage. The pit below is instant death. You fall into it, and the ceiling above can damage you. So that's fun. You can't make jumps too high, and and when making critical jumps, you have to be weary of these enemies that pop out of the pit. So that's fun. Lot of death hazards just everywhere. Like, a lot of things here do a lot of damage, and you have to be weary of that. But thankfully, there's a certain power-up that uniquely drops in this level just to make it easier on you as the player. And they only drop off of these guys. So keep that in mind. So what is that power-up, you might say, or you might be asking? Well, let's kill this guy here. That power-up right there. This blue thing is going to be your greatest friend in this level. What he gives is invincibility, I believe, for about 8 seconds before it wears off completely. Any one of these guys can drop it, I think. I don't know if there's like a certain... pattern to their drops, to them dropping these, but any chance you can kill one of these type of enemies to get this, you should probably take that time to do it, because the invincibility here is so very, very crucial. Because a lot of things do a ton of damage here. You also want to kill these bouncing pink things, because they actually drop quite a bit of money. And here's Shop Lady if you do need her, which I think in our situation here, we probably do kind of need her. Well, actually, no. We got the save states. We're fine. We shouldn't need it. We shouldn't need her. But she's there if you need the extra lives. Of course, I would suggest highly, if you are at 0 lives in this level, I would suggest taking a death. Because that's probably, you're probably going to lose a few lives on this level. So let's start that from the beginning. Since I didn't actually go over everything at the start here, since I had to explain the power-up thing, what you want to actually do starting off this level is just hold right. You're always going to beat out all these fireball patterns here. Once you see the end stretch of that huge string of fireballs, kill the last one. Usually, a good chance he'll actually have a magic armor. And then periodically, every 4 fireballs, probably try and attack another fireball to try and get a magic armor for some extra iframes. If he doesn't drop a blue armor for you to pick up, just keep killing whatever fireball you see as you progress through the level. Eventually, one is going to drop. I still don't know if there is a set sort of pattern to their drop rates. But yeah, once you're past the Shop Lady, you're going to be dealing with a whole lot of these pink things here, bouncing around, shooting projectiles. They drop a fair bit of money, so they're nice to have. When you reach the end, you start seeing floating platforms. Just stand at the very ledge. You do not have to worry about the fire getting you from here. It'll never come out and hit you. Like, they always come out from the same spot, as you can see here. But before committing to a jump, I would suggest killing this guy, or... Oh god, yeah. So, this part here is a little scary. Okay, so now I got the iframes. If I didn't have that, I would have to take this section here real safe, because if you don't notice, this platform here will disintegrate and fall into the fire pit if you stand on it for too long. So if you don't have iframes for dealing with this part, wait on this platform. Don't wait on this one. You're very likely going to die doing that. As such, But yeah, every few fireballs, kill one of these things, and just hope that a blue armor drops. That's kind of the whole strat with this particular level. If you want to do it every 3, that probably is the much safer strategy. Or you can just kill each and every one of them and just stay in iframes forever. That is also a worthy strategy, especially starting off. Nice jump. So here's your second shop. Here's your second shop girl for the level itself. This is the last one in the level, but we're full life. We have 2 lives. We probably don't need her at this point. Now this section here is real dangerous. You want to, before committing to any jump, kill any fireball you see before jumping to the next platform. And if you get lucky drops like I did, and you get to here, you can just run past all of this, because this is the last stretch of fire here. But let's say you don't have that. Actually, I didn't save anything there. I guess I'll go through the stage again. But if you do have armor there, you can just run through all that. Just know that your iframes last like around, 6 to 8 seconds or something like that. So let's run through that stage again. It's a fairly short level, so we can actually go through it. If you want to know how it should be done, it's kind of hard for me to formulate exactly what you need to do, because sometimes it is kind of luck if you get a magic armor to actually drop or not, so you can abuse the iframes. You kind of have to play with what you get. Sadly, it is that type of level. I wish it wasn't, but it is that type of level. It's terrible for that reason. So here's our first set of iframes. Going to look to kill one of these. Okay, both of them dropped it, so that's really good luck. Grab that for some extra. Oh, okay, we'll ignore it now. That hit doesn't matter, but you can see how much damage you take. It's not generous. Wait for that. Okay, he gave us magic armor. Unfortunately, the platform left, but we got another one, so that's a pretty lucky stretch. We can get through this. We shouldn't need any more, because we're coming up. Oh, actually, yes, we do. Yes, we do. Okay, that was perfect luck right there. But yeah, you can see, if you feel you need to take it real safe, and you don't have the armor, oof, wow, I got totally wrecked. Sometimes you kinda just have to play with what you get. I got a little bit fortunate there, but then I took a number too many hits there. So, like, that's kind of just goes to show how hard this stage actually is. So, I mean, you die here, don't worry about it. It happens even to the best of us. Okay, we didn't get good luck there. There's our magic shield. So, or magic armor. So now we can get through all of this. Look at that jump. Kill that. Oh, okay. That hit was not good. I want to ideally stay away from that spot. Oh my goodness, come on. Yeah, so if you want a safe spot here without the magic armor, here's a safe spot here. And then once you're past that, you stay there. And remember, don't commit to a jump unless you know you're safe. Ooh, okay, so here's a bad situation. I have to anticipate when I want to make my attempt here, so just want to constantly jump until I know I'm safe, and then just jump on this side. Remember, this flame here will never come out beyond this part here. Hey, hang on a second. Sorry, we had folks outside. I didn't want to distract them with my my racket. Okay, so unfortunately I was not paying attention there, and yeah, that's what I mean. The platforms will eventually sink, and of course in that situation you're probably just gonna die straight outright. Yeah, there's a lot to actually take into account with this stage, and sadly I can't prepare you all for all the worst possible outcomes. All I can say is utilize the shop girl if you need the health. That's probably the best advice. If you have magic armor, press forward and try and do it until you think it's about to expire. In other words, in that situation, just play it nice and safe. Once you're past Shop Lady, there's only going to be that one single spot there that's probably unsafe to stand on. Every part of this platform is always going to be safe. So, you know, once you're safely on the right side of this platform, you're good to just drop off. Once you see the next one, just kind of revert back a little bit here. Wait for your opportunity to move past. And then keep moving forward until you see both these ones spawn. Kind of eye out where you think the safe spot is. I just know where it is automatically. And then once that one in front of you has passed, you just move forward to where you saw the safe spot. And mentally prepare yourself for what is probably one of the scariest parts in the level. Okay, so we got an invincibility. But let's pretend we don't have it, just in the worst case scenario. Want to try and avoid any place where a fireball could knock us off the platform. Okay, so yeah, they're being fairly generous with these magic armor drops. I'm actually going to make an additional save state here so I can go through this and not have to repeat the sections over and over. But once you get here, just keep constantly jumping, wait till that thing leaves, and then go to the other side of it and just keep jumping. Don't make a big jump, just nice little short hops until you feel you're ready to comfortably make this jump. I would suggest killing that guy, even if an armor drops off of him. Probably advisable to not go any further. Don't worry about that flame, it should never hit you. You see it either as small or it reaches just a few pixels away from your feet. You're fine, you don't have to worry about him. I mean, if you're really worried about it, just take a hit to the ceiling and just abuse iframes that way. And so moving on, we can just drop down there. Don't bother jumping because again, the ceiling will just hurt you. It's not worth taking that risk. Just drop off, you're safe. Alright, so here it is. This section here, I would just highly suggest finding a way to get a magic armor, because you have to deal with this silly nonsense here that can knock you off. You have to deal with the fireballs too. It's just a terrible, terrible section. But if you are so unlucky that you don't get an armor drop here, you know, I wish you the best of luck and maybe try to be as gutsy as possible and just hope for the best and make it onto that platform. Once you're past that part though, everything else is fine because you'll reach the stone slabs here where you can actually just drop off. And now you don't have to deal with things coming out of the ceiling here. I would also suggest taking a little talk to the shop girl here, just to kind of despawn everything. Because those enemies are kind of hard to dodge when Shop Lady's right there. Also, if you want to know when to jump to avoid taking a hit to these guys, just be a little over the pit before making your jump, and they'll only do a short hop. Otherwise, if you do try to jump preemptively, they're going to jump much higher, and they will hit you. So, again, jump when you're just as you're starting to peer over the ledge. It's fairly consistent. If it's a problem, just practice it a little bit. It's honestly not too hard. It's not a picky jump. Honestly, the only time you should take a hit to these guys is when you jump over Shop Girl if you don't want to talk to her for whatever reason. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is. We're pretty much past all the nasty parts, at least as far as the reliance on magic armor. At least as far as parts that rely on magic armor. But again, you should have magic armor in quite a few of those awful spots. And you should be able to handle whatever it throws at you. But if you get bad luck in certain spots, that's how you handle those sections accordingly. Now, this part here is a lot of platforms. Stay on the left side of this platform starting off. This fireball shouldn't hit you from there. Of course, that fireball I killed, always make sure to kill him before dedicating a jump onto this platform. And then whenever you get the chance to kill that fireball before dedicating your jump to this platform, like basically before deciding to go to the next platform, kill whatever fireball is in your way here. And the other major important thing, always stay on the left side of these platforms so that the fireballs so that you're never at risk of actually getting hit. Of course, you can get lucky and they can drop a magic armor. That's fine too. There's no fireball there. And that was very, very badly timed. As you can see here, the pattern's kind of simple with this thing. It always starts with a longer one and then a shorter one, and it's always the same distances. Once you're past the once you're past the first two platforms and you're on the third platform of these ones going back and forth, you're always going to... You won't have to worry about fireballs anymore. You just have to get onto these last set of platforms here, and then it's an easy pathway to the boss of the stage itself. So let's just go over that one final time before we move on to that last section there. So again, before we dedicate our jump to the platform, always kill the fireballs. Same with second platform here. We didn't kill it, so now we're going to wait on a cycle. Just stay on the left side until we have our safety to make that jump. Once we do, we can make that jump. And now that we've got that other fireball, and we're on to the third platform, we don't have to worry about fireballs anymore. And we're just going to eye it out until we feel it's safe. Oof. Oof. Okay, so that I was not prepared for. So let's do that again. Learning what we know. Kill the fireball to the left side of the platform. And kill the fireball. Even if you have to wait on a cycle, it's better to be safe than sorry. Now that was a little ballsy on my part. Okay, so there you go. That's what I would probably suggest doing for that part right there. Once this platform here begins to start heading to the left, that's when you want to make your jump, because that flame will have finally gone back up into the ceiling. And as you can see here, the next one will not hit me. So keep that in mind. And then once you're past the second one there, you got a nice safe spot here between, aside from this golem here. That golem will hit you unless you jump over his projectiles successfully. But that's basically how that part works. So, yeah, little bit of stuff to take into account here, and I'm kind of trying to go at it as one by one here, and it's not quite working out, but don't worry, we will get to the boss here eventually. So slowly but surely making our way to each and every platform. So here we already know the flame is always going to be the full length, so it's always going to reach down to the foot of that platform that I want to jump to. So I'm going to wait until the platform begins to go to the right, make my jump, and then get, then I'm able to stand safely in that spot and make sure to not go too far so that this second one right here will not hit me. And then once that one disappears, we can actually get past it and stand right here, jump over that one, and then quickly try to backslash him. You could also just, take a hit to the ceiling, jump over him, not really anything too fancy. And then these guys, they're simple enough. It's really straightforward. You don't have to deal with any more flames from that point onward. From here on out, it's just to the boss fight, which is actually very, very simple compared to the rest of the stage. But before we move on to that, let's just go over everything we've learned up to this point. So we're going to kind of try to play things out with whatever we get in our... whatever we get as far as magic armor drops, we're just going to roll with it. So let's see what this last one gives us. Gave us a magic armor, so that's perfect. I'm going to start killing these guys. All right, one of them was lucky enough to give me a magic armor. So now I have the safety of knowing this part's not going to be anything dangerous. Would suggest killing that guy and just take the trip there. Once that thing descends, just drop down. Here is simple enough. Wait for that. And when you see those two, kill that pink one while you wait on those cycles. And then just take this nice and safe. We still haven't gotten a magic armor drop. Still not feeling safe to dedicate a jump there. There we go. We got a magic armor. We can actually get through all of this. And here we want to start farming for a possible magic armor. Want to do it again here. Oh, come on. There we go. That magic armor is really, really important for that section. Oops. Okay. Didn't make her jump, but that's fine. The only thing that happens is we can despawn all the enemies, not have to worry about them. And the rest of this, just kill the pink balls and jump over the spiky guys. Didn't do it successfully there. Got a magic armor, so now we can actually make these platform cycles. You can actually jump on that higher one if you have the magic armor. But yeah, if you have magic armor at a key moment, you can actually get past that entire section with all your tools with the magic armor at your disposal. If you have the iframes, you can just sneak past all that entirely dangerous section and save quite a bit of time. It's nice to farm for that magic armor to get through that section really, really quickly. Again, it's one of those kind of levels where you really, really, really do have to kind of play it with whatever you get. Like that's just how it is, and you just have to live with it. Sometimes it will mean death for you. Other times, you'll get lucky and have a very clean level. But at the very least, I showed how one should deal with each and every section. If you get really unlucky on the magic armor drops, at least I showed what had to be done in those sections where it gets kind of dicey. So let's save here, because now we're at the boss room here. Now, fun fact, this is the same exact boss fight, so he takes the same number of hits. 2 backslashes and he's dead. There are 2 places you can get a quick kill on him. You can stand right here, which is probably the most optimal spot to get a quick kill. Or you can do the safe strat, which is to stand right where I'm at here. Because what's going to happen is the boss is going to spawn right here, and he's going to kind of veer upwards. That's going to be your perfect setup to get your first backslash. And then his movement is sort of random from there. Unfortunately, unlike the other fight in the previous stage, he is luck-based. So there he is right there. There's the first backslash. And whatever is... Okay, so he gave me a bad pattern there. So I kind of had to move out of the spot. I mean, obviously that's probably not what I would recommend doing. Let's do that properly. I need to make sure to show the safe strat. But it's best to just stand right here. You'll get the first hit guaranteed. Now, whatever pattern he gives you, if you miss him, just get back to the safe spot. Don't be baited to try and pursue him, because the flames will just screw you over and you will fall into the pit and die. That is terrible. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants that fate. You don't want to have to do this level again if you get this far. So just remember, if you survive to the boss fight, stay right here. Regardless if you miss hits, regardless if you get a bad pattern, just play with what you get. Do not move from this spot. You can come down here and stand in this spot as a safety zone, but the problem with that spot I stood in is that if you do get hit, you will get knocked into this pit, especially if he comes from this side, from the left side, and knocks you in. So always start here and just stay there. You miss a hit, doesn't matter, get back to the spot and just get another backslash on him. Don't move from the spot. Starting off, don't move from this spot. But if you do want to know the faster strat, you can try and do this strat. I think this might be luck too. Okay, so unfortunately I didn't get an optimal hit there. But you can still see how it's a bit faster than the other strat. So I mean, if you really were really ballsy, you would stand here and try to go for an even quicker kill. Sometimes you'll also get kind of screwed, but it's fine. Usually you're more likely to get a generous pattern from him, even standing in that spot. But don't take any dumb risks, is what I say, because sometimes he will. Sometimes, you know what, usually as a beginner, you're probably going to miss this guy. And that will usually mean death on this screen. So he's giving me a bad pattern. Gonna knock me back to the right. Even if he knocks you to the left, all that's gonna happen is you land here. If you get hit in this spot, you'll either go here or you'll go here. Just get back up to the spot. That's all that needs to be said about this fight. So he's giving me a really bad pattern. And now he's doing this nonsense. Normally this never happens. But he finishes with it pretty soon. And I think, like the other fight, he eventually just wanders off. But usually it's safest to get rid of him as soon as possible anyway. So that's exactly what you want to do in that situation. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to the fight. That's all you really have to know about that fight. Stand in that spot, get the backslash, you get hit, get back into that safe spot. It's pretty much at the ledge. If you do want to see it though, it's this nice little, you'll see this nice little curve on the ledge. You see this longer curve and then a longer curve and an even longer curve there. That's when you know you're in the right spot. You don't have to stand in any different spot than that. If you see your foot kind of lined up with this little bump here compared to these bigger, longer bumps, that's when you know you got the correct position. You don't have, it's not even really precise. You don't have to even stand exactly as I stand here. Just around that proximity so you can avoid all the fire and be lined up pretty well to land your 2 backslashes needed for this fight. One more time. Okay, bad luck. Okay, wait on him again. Just play the patience game. Sometimes you get lucky, other times you don't. And yeah, that is it. That is it. That's all I'm gonna say about that stage. Took a while. Unfortunately, the next stage is probably the hardest stage in the game, and a lot needs to be covered. So, wrap yourselves up, folks. We got a long one here. Alright, first things first, call Zap. If he has the life, have him help you out, reduce some of that lag. Now, once you reach your first pit, though, you can finally stop calling him. Now, the lava here works exactly like the waterfalls in Stage 1, so wait for that longer one before dedicating the jump. And that's all you have to do for that stage. These doors, one single backslash will destroy it. And that's all you have to know for that screen. Basically stuff that you've already learned how to deal with. The lava works exactly like the waterfall. Here's your first shop, girl. So if you need any extra lives, she's there. This is another stage I highly, well, I mean, actually, at this point, you don't really need the extra height, although it probably is advisable just to make a couple jumps a little safer. And like usual, just wait on the lava. You could technically jump over it, but better safe than sorry. This stage is all about health preservation, and taking damage boosts and abusing iframes where needed. Otherwise, starting off, you don't want to do anything like damage boosting. Damage boosting is like one of the fastest ways of getting through this particular stage. But it's very, very unsafe. There's a lot of things you have to fight through, and they're very likely going to get a couple hits on you. So, just kind of make these jumps when you feel it's safe to make them. Let's take the hit, then dedicate the jump. There's a way to get past this guy even without taking an intentional damage boost and abusing iframes. Just jump over, wait a little bit, jump over, wait a little bit, wait for that long one, and once you see the long one, then you can make that jump. So we'll do that one more time, just so in case for whatever reason the snowflake stops spawning, how you do and get past this guy, you bait him up. You bait out each and every one of these 4 spurts of lava. Sometimes you have to do it a couple times, like so. You don't want to fall into these pits, they send you back. Obviously, that's not going to kill you, doesn't make you lose any lives, but you don't want to have to fight through everything and, take more damage than you really need to. Again, health preservation is really, really important in this stage, so take it nice and safe. You could jump through these gaps like the world record holder does, but that's very unsafe. I don't recommend it. And especially I don't recommend it because of this next screen coming up here. This screen is awful. For a number of reasons. One, it's very long, and if you die anywhere here, you have to start from the beginning. The other real big problem with this stage, or this part of the stage, is it's a maze. Oh joy, it's a maze. So I'm going to go through this door here, and then a special enemy is going to show up here. You can get past this guy. I don't even know if you can even... You can't even really kill him, I don't think. And I think if you try to go up the steps, you'll just keep facing him. He's kind of just meant to harass you. But if you want to get away from him, you make a wrong turn, just go through the bottom path and reset the room. You'll be sent back to 2 rooms ago, but this is better than having to go the top route because I think it just keeps looping on and forcing you to face that guy that you can't really kill. So yeah, that's exactly why that room is terrible. You do not want to go down the wrong path. Otherwise and if you do know if you went down the wrong path, you'll run into that enemy. So if you do want to know what he looks like, he's this guy clad in green armor, and he has a spear that he likes to spin around when he gets close enough so they can try and take a poking jab at you with. If you do encounter him, go down the lower path as opposed to the upper path so that you can reset and head back to 2 rooms ago previously. It sucks that it happens, but it's better than just going the upper path and going what I think is possibly an endless loop. I'm not entirely sure. Either way, Either way, once you are back in this room, or if you are in this room for the first time ever, if you want to know how to avoid encounters with the guy in the green armor, you got to go through the correct door, or go the correct path. And in order to know which path to take is actually really, really simple, because of how this room is laid out. But if you haven't already guessed, there are these bird enemies. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down, since we already know the top path is the wrong path. We're going to keep going, and you're going to notice something here. We have different enemies here. And this is going to be a consistent pattern going down these steps. What we need to look for to know we are about to be at the end of this hallway here, we need to look for the bats from stage 2. Those are the enemies that indicate when we want to stop going down steps and actually head straight and to a doorway. Instead, we will face a familiar face, which is the dog and the guy, basically the mini-boss of stage 2. We're looking for that particular fight. Not the guy in the green armor, but the guy that we faced in stage 2 as a mini-boss. So to get to him, we need to continue to keep going down steps in this room until we encounter bats. That's the key. That's the key cue. That's the visual cue to know when you are heading the correct path. Now, of course, we have bugs right now, so that's how we know we're not on the correct path right away. Need to get rid of this green fly here. He's kind of a pest. Gonna take advantage of the damage boost here. At some point, we're gonna see these pink balls from stage 3. Not the enemies we want to see, so we got to keep going down. Again, take your time. No reason to rush it. If you feel you need to get rid of enemies, if they're coming at you and you have to kill them, kill them. It's not a big deal. Don't do what I did there. That's really risky. And there's the bats. So that's when you know you can go down this particular path and no longer have to go down steps. So we want to keep moving straight, and there's the dog. And then, the fight kind of works a little bit differently, since we don't have, like, a nice little... since this guy, for one, actually operates a little bit differently. But, yeah, I didn't actually go over that fight properly, and I probably should have. Let's go over that room again, and then we'll get a save state made for that. So, taking what we learned, once you're past this room, and you get into this room, you want to just keep going down steps. You also get free boot upgrades here. This will help increase your jump height. They're literally always there. So, take advantage of that where you can. And of course, like always, the lava works just like the waterfalls. Once you're past the first one, activate the dog, maybe reduce some lag. Kill those last 3. Again, trying to manage the lag as much as possible. Want to get rid of them before the bugs start showing up. Yep. And yeah, you just want to keep going down the steps until eventually you're going to hit the bat spawns, or the bat enemies. That's the indication to know when you can stop going down steps and actually start heading straight for a door. And of course, take damage boosts when you can if you don't want to be dealing with enemies. I mean, they're not too hard to deal with. Just slice them. If you need to slow down and, mitigate the damage and just kill them, that's also that's very much a safe strategy that I totally recommend doing. Of course, you do have the jump to be able to jump over these lava pits now, since you have the combined jump power. But again, not really a big deal. So here's the bad enemies. Now you know you're on the correct path. Once you're past and over them, you can actually You can stop moving down these steps and moving, you know, just continuing straight. Now, interesting thing to note, you can actually jump over this thing. You don't even need to wait on the cycle. You can just jump over it. Don't even know if it saves that much time. Actually, it definitely does, but it's not much. I should stop taking a hit to that thing now. Once you're done that, though, it'll be the mini-boss. Gonna be the dog. Dog doesn't do much damage. Once you deal with the dog, though... Or actually, let's go over that fight. So, first you have the dog. You have the dog. Once you get the dog to spawn, kind of move back and be more on the left side of this googly-eyed statue here. And so the dog can just safely jump over you and you can start getting the backslashes. You don't want to change this position, though. Like, you want to stay around where the statue is. You want to be positioned right here, even after killing the dog, especially once this guy spawns, because what this guy's going to do is if he's far enough away, he will try to rush towards you, and then he'll jump in the air and try to jump slash you. Take that opportunity to walk under him, backslash him. Do it again. Basically, once he gets far enough away, he's going to try to jump slash you. Just take that opportunity to walk underneath him and backslash him from behind. Try to wait till he also lands on the ground, because I think he has iframes when he tries to do the jump slash. So that is worth noting. So let's go over that. Stay at the statue. Let the dog jump over you. Sometimes he'll run into you. It's fine. It's whatever. Wait at the statue. Bait out the jump attack. I did not go far enough. And just walk underneath. You miss your shot, just try again. It's not a big deal. It's honestly not a hard fight to deal with. It's actually probably even harder on stage 2 than in this stage, oddly enough. But if you do get too close to him, he'll just try to run into you. That's obviously not what you want to do. So don't get greedy. Don't try to run into him. Let the dog just jump over you. Let him jump over you. You take a hit, doesn't matter. He drops health anyway. It's honestly the key with that fight and like preventing much of any damage is stay around where this statue is in the background. Just stay right here. This is kind of the safe zone, at least until the human makes his jump attack. Then you can move, directly underneath him and then take that moment to backslash him. It's honestly not that difficult. For the jump slash, take that jump slash. Okay. See, I got too antsy and got too close to him, so he ran into me. So let's do that properly. See, I let him get away from me and then let him do the jump slash. You could try to kill him right away. You could also try and be over by this pillar and get set up to do a couple quick backslashes and quick kill the human. Up to you, though. But my suggestion starting off is always stay around this statue. See, look, the dog is just jumping right over you. He's not even... You're completely safe. You don't have to think too much about the dog. He's... Like, once he gets close enough to you... it does... Like, it's a little finicky. You don't want him to take a running jet. You want to be, like, a certain distance to bait out the jump attack. And once he jumps over you once, just stand still. And just let him jump over you until eventually he dies. Be a little careful. Don't let the human do that to you. So again, one more time. Just wait till that. I guess kind of with the dog, you just want to be on the left side of the statue. Once you deal with the dog, be on the right side. Let him do his jump slash. Get the free health. Easy fight. Don't have to think much about it. Now let's move on. Okay, so last section. This is pretty much the last room before the final 2 fights of the game. And all you really have to... Well, actually, there's a lot you need to know. For one, this is the last shop girl in the entire run. So if you need the health, this is the opportune time to get filled up to full HP, which we are definitely going to do in this case. Got everything we need. We're full health, and we got 2 lives, so that should be enough. Interestingly enough, even though the beeping had happened and my jump boots already expired, once you get the first upgraded boots, it's always going to stay with you until you die. So that's a nice little thing to take advantage of. With the extra jump height, though, assuming you don't have the extra jump height, though, again, same sort of strat as always. Just wait for the patterns of these to end. Really simple. Now comes the real big problem with this room. And actually, I'm not going to bother doing a save state here, just in case something goes wrong at a later point. But this next part here is probably the scariest part of the run. There is an instant death hazard like a few steps away from us here. What's going to happen is there's going to be an eye that spawns, and then all these diamonds are going to start circling around him. He's not the one hit death hazard. There's a spike ceiling that's going to draw down from above. And this is a 1 death hazard. This is a 1-hit death hazard, and you got to avoid it. So, as you might expect, we're going to try to abuse iframes here. They do last a little bit. They do last long enough to be able to avoid it pretty easily. But sometimes this enemy that we're about to encounter here is going to be... It sometimes have a hard time hitting you, and then the spike hits you instead, and you'll die or something like that. It's terrible. So here's the enemy I was talking about. And here's the death hazard right above us. And you can see the spike floor actually killed us there. And that's why this part here is really, really scary. So this time, let's actually save our progress. Whoops. Alright, so we're back to where we need to be. Actually, before we do that, let's actually safely get to him. Good. Alright, so, like I said, we got this eye enemy right up here. There's his core nucleus, and here's the diamonds that form around him. He's going to start shooting at us, and as you saw in that previous attempt, he actually missed me, and I died to the spikes. And like I said, they are an instant death hazard. You have to watch out for it. You have to use the iframes because chances are it is going to hit you before you break through that door. Unless of course, you have magic. Maybe we could try with magic. See if maybe that might be a valued strat. Nope. Didn't break open soon enough. So that's when you know the magic is not going to help you here. So, unfortunately, this is a bit of a bad situation. Most people, well, this is somewhat a really, really scary situation, I'm sure, for most people starting off. But there is actually a very consistent strat to get through that room without dying. So, how do we do that, you may ask? Well, here's how we're going to do it. We're going to move forward and going to keep holding right. And then when we see the diamonds begin to form, we're going to jump and we're going to intentionally get boosted to the left. Not the right, but the left. We're going to intentionally get hit by this diamond and get hit back. This will set us up perfectly so that an extra diamond will hit us, but that will trigger our iframes so that we will not get hit by the spikes, which I did not do properly there. This might be a scary situation now. Still managed to abuse the iframes just fine there. But let's show how it's going to be done in the real time here. Oh, I took the wrong side of the boost there. Okay. Again, usually the best thing to do in that situation, if you do get damage boosted forward, just try to get hit by something before you prioritize the door. I guess that's how it should have been mentioned from the start here. Sorry, let's do that again. So, if you take a hit, usually you can just go straight for the door and get hit and then break through. The iframes will last long enough to protect you. But let's say things don't go exactly as planned. You don't get boosted to the left, or you get hit by a different one. Well, in that situation, let him hit you. Like, just wait and let the guy, like, literally just stand still. Stand still, or try to move around so that you can likely take a hit to the diamond, or to one of his diamond projectiles, and get the iframes to trigger so that the spike ceiling does not end up hitting you. Or it ends up hitting you, but only while in iframes. Like so. So it's a lot to take in. I'm sure a lot of people are probably... This is definitely another section I highly recommend practicing and getting down. Otherwise, you will likely die. So I got damage boost to the right. Unfortunately, I did not manage to get hit there. He just ended up throwing everything straight down. So we'll just... Oh. Yeah, like I said, the fact that it can happen to me means it can happen to anyone. So, just keep going. Wow. So unfortunately, I just keep ducking because I think the spike ceiling is gonna hit me if I don't end up jumping. Actually, that's pretty interesting there. Let's try that. Nope. Again, it's a very inconsistent strat. Well, it's only an inconsistent strat if in fact you don't get boosted the correct way. But if you do want to know the consistent setup, what you need to shoot for is to jump and then aim to get hit by the second diamond that's coming from the right side here and circling clockwise. Get hit by that one and get knocked to the left. This should set this guy up to get a hit on you a second time, like that. And your iframes will last long enough so that the spike ceiling will not hit you. That's the safety strat. So always shoot and jump for that second one and try to get boosted to the left. It does look slow, but it is definitely more consistent. And once you get that hit, just keep moving to the right and just try to break open the door. You get hit backward by a projectile, don't worry, just go to the door, just try to break it open. Don't worry about the spike ceiling. If everything goes correctly, as I showed there, you will get through that door. You will get through that door. You will not get hit by the spikes. You will have the iframes to get through that room. So, yeah, that's all there is to that room. And once you're past that room, that's it. That's basically the stage. You just have one single boss, or two more boss fights remaining. And thankfully, one of them is a really easy fight, which is this fight. Wow, nice screen there. So once you actually reach this part right here, you have actually spawned the boss. And once you do that, you want to start heading towards the left and scroll the screen just a tiny bit. And then get into position properly here. This is very important because it actually allows you to be on this platform to set up for the quick kill on this guy. With 2 backslashes and a couple crouch stabs to finish the job on him. And then after you finish him, you're on to this fight here. So this fight can be a bit of a problem, though. If you don't, like, it looks really easy, but sometimes you might end up being too far away on your backslashes. And when that happens, that's really unfortunate because it becomes a very difficult fight where there's actually a pit you're fighting over and a lot of hard to avoid projectiles. So let's say you miss a hit or something. Just start moving to the right. And maybe at some point, try to get at least one poking jab. If you at least get... If you miss one of your backslashes, it could be a bit of a problematic fight. But yeah, as I said, once you load the boss, which is when the screen goes black, you want to head to the left side and scroll the screen just a little bit so that you can get set up here. And then you should be able to stand just on this side of the platform and get your backslashes, your 2 backslashes and a crouch stab in order to finish him. But let's say you're too far to the left and you miss your chance to actually get your backslashes in. Well, if you miss both your backslashes, you're probably going to be in a lot of trouble. I'm not even gonna lie. This fight is pretty scary. But let's say you miss it. The best thing you can do is just wait for your opportunity to... Yeah, you can see that it's quite a problem. Actually, I think there might not be... Hold up a second. Let me just check something here. Okay, you can actually keep moving to the right. You don't have an unlimited amount of platforms here. So we got one stab there. I guess in this situation, you probably might want to swap to the magic here. If the things start to circle around you, you might want to just keep moving. Just move away from the orbs if they start to circle you. Because eventually they will do some sort of an attack. The hitbox is not generous, like I said, but he does stop his movement if you do get the hit on him. It's a bit scary because you are fighting over a pin. You kind of do have to treat the fight the same way as boss number 2 if you fail the quick kill. But, again, like I said, this fight has a very consistent strategy as long as you don't stray from what I'm gonna do here. So again, I spawn the boss. I want to scroll the screen kind of until I reach the kind of like half off, half on the platform, and then I'll just go back to the right side of the platform here. Backslash, backslash, crouch stab. And he just goes down real easy like that. I would suggest practicing this fight so that, you know, accidents don't end up happening to you on that fight. Because, I mean, if you do miss your backstabs, it becomes a problem surviving that fight. I mean, obviously I showed that you can survive it, but usually the safest bet would be to use the magic and just play the waiting game and try to kill him off that way. Basically, use the boss 2 strats if you fail the actual proper quick kill on that fight. But that quick kill definitely is easy to pull off. Like, I really recommend trying to learn that quick kill. It definitely makes the fight a lot easier, a lot more beginner friendly, I think anyway. But if you do want to know the beginner. Like, if you do want to know the backup strategy, it's probably just keep moving to the right and just shoot magic at him and just hope eventually he dies. It's also important to probably not take too much damage because you have this fight, the final fight of the game, right afterwards. This fight's actually interesting in that you would think that the left side here is the safest place to be. That's absolutely not true. The right side here is the safe spot. Because what ends up happening with this guy, well, how this guy works is he's going to open his mouth, and there's the little fire demon inside him, and he's going to shoot out these projectiles. I don't think you can destroy these things, and they're very fast, and they spread out, and so it's very, very, very hard to dodge. So by staying closer to the right side, you can just jump over him, and this is always going to be safe. This is always going to be safe. And you can just keep doing this over and over again. Unfortunately, as the fight progresses, these things start to fall at a much faster rate, so you kind of are on a time limit here. Of course, eventually they do drop cherries, and even some extra magic if you really, really need it. But look how fast this stuff is dropping now. Some more health. But yeah, you can see how, like, let's actually try to avoid everything from the lower side. Okay, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe it's not so bad. So maybe if you really wanted to play the really safe strats, wait for all the cave stuff to fully fall down before finally going to the front here and start, like, taking your jabs. As once he fully opens up the mouth, you have time to actually just jump straight over him and just take a simple swipe at him. Obviously, this is pretty long, so let's speed it up a bit. Let's do the backslashes instead, in the midair. See, that's how simple the fight can be. So let's run those boss fights over again. This fight, you wait till the screen goes dark. That's when you know the boss has spawned. Go to the leftmost part of this platform until you're like half on, half off, and then you want to be on the right side of the platform here. And that should be the proper position to get your 2 backslashes and your crouch stab for the quick kill. And you can even drop down onto this platform here. Allow the next boss to spawn a little bit sooner. I think that's how this fight spawns faster. And then once you get to this fight, don't go over to him immediately. You could get to the right side. And I mean, if you really want to play it safe, just jump over everything. So ignore my advice at the start. You can just stay over here however long you need to and just wait everything out. And just wait for all the cave, because eventually this entire ceiling's gonna fully fall down entirely. If parts of the ceiling breaks into 2, it's pretty hard to dodge. So I'm finally getting some actual health. Ooh, finally getting some health drops. If I can just get over to the cherry, there we go. Yeah, so I mean, the fight's generous enough to give you all this health, and then you can just wait it all out until after this whole ceiling falls. And then once all the ceiling is gone, you can finally start going in there and just wait it out. Take your jabs at him. Again, all you need to do is wait until once his chin hits the ground here, that's when you know you need to jump. Don't have to make it overly complicated. And then once his chin hits the ground, that's when you can jump and dodge the projectile. And then on your descent, you can just take a simple sword swipe. Until eventually he's dead. Obviously, these are regular sword swipes, so it's gonna be a bit of a longer fight. But that's kind of the safe way of handling the fight. So, what's the actual fast way though? If you feel like that's a little too safe and you want to actually up the speed, here is the faster way of dealing with the final fight. I should have made a save state for it. We're pretty much done with this boss fight. I've shown enough of this fight. Okay, so let's make that save state now. So here's the fast strat. You want to have your back positioned to him and be right next to him, and then same deal. Once his chin hits the ground, you jump, and then while on descent, you do your backslash. Do a regular slash, and then hit the opposite direction on the D-pad for that backslash. Sometimes you'll get a bit unlucky and things will fall on you. In this situation, I'm probably going to go for that health. It's not looking too hot. But yeah, basically you want to utilize the backslashes as much as possible. And yeah, there he goes. Doesn't take many backslashes to put him down. So, I mean, you want to speed it up greatly, utilize the backslash. It's not a hard setup. All you have to do is just jump up. Usually you'll have the jump boots to your advantage. If you don't, you should have the money to be able to acquire another set of jump boots for that extra bit of height. But let's say you don't have the jump boots. Let's say you don't have the jump boots. Well, in that situation, let's see what the timing is in that case. Let's actually take an intentional death, see what the timing is for that jump. I mean, the shop girl is literally right there, so there's really no reason to not get jump boots. But let's say you don't have it, and you want to find a way to actually do this fight, or a way to do the final boss without the extra jump height. Because that's something I didn't actually quite take into account, now that I realized it. So this is the same deal as before. And same as this boss. This boss is the same exact thing as before. Just making sure my position's correct here. Now let's also load here, or save here. So we don't have to go through all this nonsense again. So, this time we're going to try the final boss without the extra jump height to our advantage, since that is what I expect most people to be in the situation of, because I assume at this point you probably want the extra life so you don't have to do this stage again, which is probably advisable. So let's see what the extra... Okay, so it's a bit of a trickier window. Alright. So if you do want to know when to jump, and you don't have the extra jump height, wait. All you have to do is wait until you see the fire demon in the mouth. Once this guy opens his mouth, there's a few frames where you don't see anything in his mouth, and then eventually you'll see the fire demon, that little core in the mouth. That's the timing window to know when to jump. So that's when you want to jump. And then the timing's kind of the same. Okay, that was a bit unlucky there. Sometimes you can get unlucky. It happens. I'm gonna grab that health. Got a real lucky jump there. Oops. taking a while. Missed my input. And there he goes. Yeah. So, if you do want to know about that fight, do you want to know about it? Basically with the final boss, if you have the extra jump height, you just wait until the chin hits the ground for the jump. But if you don't have the extra jump height, you wait until you see Fire Demon inside his mouth spawn. And then on same deal as before, you want to wait on Descent before you start your backslash. Sometimes you'll just get really unlucky like I have been so far here. That was really close. And there he goes. So, yeah, it can be a bit scary. It is a bit of a luck-dependent fight, especially when you don't have the extra jump height. That's why I kind of recommend getting the jump boots on Shop Girl. But, you know, I just had to do this tutorial just to prove that you can do it without the jump boots and you don't have to totally rely on it. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really have anything else to really cover with the game. That's it. Time is actually on the last hit, but I imagine Big 20's timing is a little bit different than that. Took a bit longer than I would have liked. I'm probably going to separate all this into all 5 parts, covering each of the levels individually. And I think I'm going to do a 6th part just to kind of highlight... Well, I'll think about that one. For now, though, hopefully this will do. Hopefully this will cover everything that needs to be covered. You stuck from here on out. If you watched all the way up to this point, thank you for watching. And hopefully your next playthrough of Conquest of the Crystal Palace is gonna go about as smoothly as that. I mean, I can't expect to know all the different type of situations every player's gonna get into learning this starting off. But pretty much all bad situations you can remedy by simply talking to Shop Girl. She is really, really helpful in that regard. But yeah, if there are certain things to practice, quick kills on stage 3, 4, and 5 are definitely things to practice. Actually, all the boss fights in general, I would practice. The stages you can probably whittle your way through with enough, like, casual practice. But the boss fights definitely probably require a little bit of extensive practice on their own. So that would be my recommendation. Alright, so that's it. I'm Dagrin, a fellow runner of this game from like years past. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a good one.